we are live.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I, Pramikya Siddiqui, board member of Grameen Australia and Grameen Philippines, would like to welcome you all to Global Social Business Summit 2021. As the world reels with the impact of the once-in-a-century global pandemic, leaders from all around the world have gathered at this year's United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP26 in Scotland, having some of the most important meetings in recent human history. Meetings which will determine the future of our planet. Hence, there could be no better time for all of us to gather and plot a new path. Planting the seeds towards a new economy, time is now, which is the theme of this year's Global Social Business Summit. Nobel Peace Laureate Professor Mohammad Yunus has been drawing our attention to a global economic system that has long been broken. It is evident now more than ever. We are all gathered here because we refuse to accept the status quo. And with that aim, we want to leave a better future for the next generation. In spite of all the challenges and hardships we face, this is a gathering of friends and colleagues and supporters of the global social business movement, which gives us the unique opportunity to renew our commitment to reshape this world, a world without poverty, without unemployment, and net zero carbon emissions. The social business community will gather here for the next 5 days of insightful moments to discuss how to solve the most pressing social environmental problems through sessions, panels, workshops, open discussions, and of course, one-to-one connections. We gather here to get inspired by the pioneers and leaders of social business from all around the world. This includes social entrepreneurs, Nobel laureates, young activists, corporates, and of course, political leaders. Global Social Business Summit 2021 is being held from the 6th of November to the 10th. This year, the summit is being co-organized by the Yunus Center, the Grameen Creative Lab, and of course, Mount Kenya University. This year's summit is a hybrid event with physical programs in Nairobi, Kenya, and virtual programs on Hubilo. We have dignitaries, luminaries, and speakers joining on Hubilo, starting from today across 6 continents, which only reinforces our commitment to the cause. A few housekeeping rules to begin with. We request all speakers who will join the feed to please keep your microphones on mute if you're not addressing the audience. Please be mindful of the speaking times allocated to you. Moderators will be introducing the respective speakers and presenters for each of their segment, and we will be tracking times. To assist with timekeeping, in the plenary sessions, the announcements, of course, the update segments, we will have a bell ring a minute prior to the completion of the time allocated to a speaker. Once time is up, the bell will be rung twice. All the participants are joining here via Hubilo platform, and the event will be live streamed on various social media handles. We request you to fully utilize the platform that is available. I would like to introduce our team of Masters of Ceremonies, which involves Dr. Mary Mugwe Chui, Robert Akoko, and Lamia Hafiz. To kick off the opening ceremony, for the welcome address, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the person who makes it all happen in the world of social business. She braves all the challenges, overcomes all the hurdles, and she's been shattering the glass ceiling for the last 3 decades. She stands strongly by the global movement in sickness and in health in all sense of the word. The Wonder Woman of our Global Social Business Justice League, Lamia Morshed, Executive Director of Yunus Center, to deliver the first welcome address. Lamia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prami. Thank you very much for that introduction. So it gives me great delight to welcome everyone on behalf of the Yunus Center to the 12th Global Social Business Summit. The summit is a hybrid event this year due to the pandemic, taking place both online as well as through physical sessions. It's co-organized by the Yunus Center and the Grameen Creative Lab from the very first summit. There will be physical events, as I mentioned, hosted by Mount Kenya University in Nairobi. who have been also hosting events for the Social Business Academia Conference over the last 3 days, and will be continuing with physical events in the next days of the summit. This year's theme is, as Promi mentioned, planting the seeds towards the new economy. The time is now. Our activities this year have been focused on the Africa region. We started off the year with the East Africa Social Business Forum on Youth Entrepreneurship in April, hosted in Zimbabwe, and followed by the Social Business Day in June, hosted in Tanzania. We just concluded the SBAC, as I mentioned, which took place in Kenya, and the GSBS2 is co-hosted by Mount Kenya University in the next days. Africa is a continent full of potential, especially with a large number of youth population. And as Professor Yunus is saying, they hold the key to the future, not just of the continent, but of the world. Thank you, Mount Kenya, to be part of the conference with live sessions. You have been working diligently over the last 3 days. Thank you, Professor Jagani, Professor Wanderi, and colleagues. I'm happy to let you know that we have 16 exciting sessions over the next 4 days till the 10th, with 120 speakers joining us. And these are sessions that are organized not just by Yunus Center, but co-created sessions with our partner organizations, Mount Kenya University, Grameen Creative Lab, Grameen Trust, Yunus Sports Hub, Yunus Environment Hub, Yunus Social Business, Danone Communities, and 3Z Global Center. Each session is more relevant and interesting than the next. We are talking about post-pandemic healthcare, post-pandemic, building a post-pandemic economy, creating social business pharma company, sports for social change, what next after the Olympic laurel to Professor Yunus for the sports movement and social change, live voices from the field, building an independent rural economy, with lots and lots of practical examples being elaborated. In addition to this, there's a special session organized at the Glasgow Caledonian University, which is part of the COP26 official events, where Professor Yunus will be speaking. He's giving the keynote speech, and which will be part of the summit program, and which will be broadcast as part of the summit events. As I mentioned earlier to my colleagues, we heard that there are 788 registered participants from 80 countries. So I know Hans, he's the master of the physical events, and he's looking forward to organizing the summit, as he does very beautifully every year. But I was thinking that we must think of combining both physical and virtual to reach the maximum number of people, as we have been doing through the virtual platforms very effectively this past year, I would say. In addition, there are 13 specialized workshops organized on Hubilo, organized by the Grameen Creative Lab, by Asian Institute for Technology, and other participants are encouraged to sign up for and attend that. A lot of effort has gone behind organizing those workshops. We will also be having, on the 9th of November, 14 country and regional forums as part of the summit event, as a way to widen our circle and to provide platform to practitioners and academics, as well as those interested in social business, to update on their activities in agendas set by them. You can join those country forums on November 9th, and you can also hear what happened in those forums at the reporting back session, which is part of our formal program on November 10th. We are unable to accommodate all the speakers in our network, and the country forum is one way of broadening the circle so that everyone's activities and actions are discussed and exchanged. We have the very distinguished speakers at this session who will set the tone for the conference for the next days, especially Professor Yunus, who will give the keynote speech and call to action to all of us. The pandemic has made evident the challenges of our current economic system, as we see the terrible effects of wealth concentration and creating new poor in countries around the world. Another crucial issue which became clearly evident during the pandemic has been unequal access to healthcare, specifically COVID-19 vaccinations. We have seen a situation of vaccine apartheid, with high-income countries getting a lot of vaccines and low-income countries not. This is an ongoing issue. And the most important issue is the massive damage done to the environment as a result of those same economic activities. The recent IPCC report, which was released in August, tell us about the narrowing window to 1 decade for us to achieve the rapid and large-scale reductions in greenhouse gas emissions to limit warming to close to 1.5%. This is an existential issue. World has gathered in Glasgow for COP26 for this purpose. As Professor Yunus has repeatedly mentioned, the pandemic had given us the opportunity to restart on a new path, one that is not a suicidal path. But this will not happen on its own. The forces against are very strong. Professor Yunus always talked about creating counterculture when he challenged conventional banking more than 40 years ago. This is still our struggle, creating a countercurrent and a counterculture in the world towards creating a world of 3 zeros that Professor Yunus presented, a world of zero net carbon emission, zero wealth concentration, and for ending poverty, and zero unemployment by unleashing entrepreneurship for all. The social business framework is a very clear, defined framework, a non-dividend company that is dedicated to solving social problems. It makes money so that it can power the business, not to enrich any individual. This can be a powerful tool in creating this counter current in the world, 3 zeros. And the purpose of this summit is to explore the ways to do that. Thank you all for gathering here. We must act now. There is not that much time left. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lamia. Over to you, Robert.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
yes,
can't
please.
seem to put my video on, but thank you so much, Lamia, for your welcome address. The second address will come from Hans Reitz. It's always a pleasure to have him around. Hans has been organizing the GSPS for the last 10 years and is a key catalyst in the social business movement. He is also the founder and CEO of the Grameen Creative Lab. Hans, welcome.
Okay. So there will be a time, there is no choice than social business. This quote did Paulo Coelho in 2010 at the keynote with Professor Yunus at the second Global Social Business Summit. Welcome you all as friends and as shaper and maker of the global social business movement. There will be a time, there is no choice of social business. This was in 10 years ago. It seems to me, even I'm a Baptist of social business, will say, hey, that's something what's really overdone. Now, the time is now. 10 years later, we are seeing very clearly that this words was very wisely spoken from one of the most influenced poets of our time. And it's not because it's a poem and it's a writer, it's also a wake-up call from the generation who are around 70 plus or 80 plus today. These words shows us clearly when we started all to come together year by year on the Global Social Business Summit to try to find out, was curious, what is behind what Grameen family offers. It was very clear we went from one crisis to the next crisis to the next crisis. And this time of crisis is over. We are in a deeply disaster. We're in a catastrophic issue. And no one of us doesn't know how to come out of such a multiple disaster where we are in. It's not only that the COVID and the rate of vaccination is a disaster. The plastic pollution around of the world is the most easiest teacher. Every one of us know no child anymore in this world will have an untouched natural place because microplastic will be everywhere. So the solutions of the past is often the problem of today. Today's solutions, what we find, we have to be very conscious that this is not the problem of tomorrow, because this will be irreparable. The deeply role of the Grameen family and of Professor Yunus, Paulo Coelho describes it like this: oh my dear, how many people give us a model, a role model. And that's exactly what we all are, what you all are, and what inspire you us in Bangladesh, in every village, in every stuff, when you start the Grameen Bank, when you go out and believe in the poorest of the poorest. And every one of us is a goalkeeper, and every one of us can do miracles in the right way. The next day is up to the 9th of November, gives us the opportunity to write once again a digital diary. So I'm so thankful, Lamia, what we're doing, because of course we're missing all. Normally this is a time where we all hug you and welcome you, and was waiting for a family meeting like a Diwali or like a Christmas or like a Eid Mubarak, whatever how you call it. But it was our time to come together to shape the future. And we touched millions. Probably Professor Yunus touched billion. Let a billion conscience out of the inspiration of Professor Yunus. Billions of people know what's to be done. So we will not solve it alone on digital meetings like this or on live meetings, but this is a diary. This shows where we are at the moment. The next 4 days, we write the digital diary with movies, with speaking, with exchanging, and we live it for the next solutions zone, what we have to build up. I'm very thankful that I dedicate my life 100% to the Wi-Fi family and to the whole movement. And even sometimes it's hard, it goes up and down, but okay, we are in a disaster, we are in a catastrophe. Let us find out how we come out. And I know it's difficult to do it with joy because it looks like sometimes we can't make it. But the examples, especially from the poorest women, the warriors of the Grameen bank families, and the women who do it now in America under the leadership of Andrea Young, shows us there's always a way out of seems is a catastrophe. Let's see, let's hope, be wise enough. Then the solutions what we offer is not the problem of tomorrow. A selfless aspect, free of speculatives, acting in a social conscience-driven society and economic. Let's dream on it, let's work on it, and let's even being under the catastrophe so close to say we have to do it and we have to find a way out. And I hope a little bit forwards to come in the next 4 days and up to the 9th of November and to see where we are on the 10th of November and then go week by week to observe the disaster, the catastrophe. And don't forget always what Professor Yunus say, don't forget the poorest of the poorest, go down to the most poorest guy, most precious stuff and see what's their need. And let's guide you probably the way for the next step. Let's go step by step. Let's keep it Wi-Fi. And I'm really happy to opening the Global Social Business Summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hans. I pass the mic over to my colleague, Mary. Mary.
Thank you very much. I think there's some echo. Robert, you can go. I think I have some echo.
Sorry. Let's continue. I think Mary's having some technical issues. Now, our next speaker, I'm going to invite Professor Deogratius Jagani, who is the Vice Chancellor, Mount Kenya University. Welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and to all the delegates, both here with me physically and digitally. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to once more join this virtual platform and interact with you all on matters to do with improving the world in which we live. Before I give my remarks, I wish to apologize for the technical hitch experienced during the opening ceremony of the Social Business Academic Conference. We have learned a few new lessons courtesy of the Yunus Social Business Center Network, and I think we are now much better than how we were when we started. To Professor Mohammed Yunus and all delegates, we are happy as Mount Kenya University to have joined the Yunus Social Business Center Network and to be the co-host of the 10th Global Social Business Summit. Mount Kenya University is the global hub for United Nations Academic Impact, SDG 10, on reduced inequalities for a period of 3 years with effect from June 2021. Thus, the potential synergy between our two organizations cannot be overrated. Ladies and gentlemen, this summit is coming at a very appropriate moment when the world is hosting the 26th UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, UK. Therefore, the Global Social Business Summit will not have come at any better time than this. At this point, I'm happy to recognize the presence of our Chancellor, Professor John Strother, from the University of the West of Scotland, who is participating in this particular conference and maybe watching us from wherever he is. Professor Stratha has told me of his academic relationship with Professor Mohammed Yunus, which gives us a lot of joy that the Yunus fraternity is joining Mount Kenya University, where Professor John Stratha is serving as the Chancellor. To everyone, I re-emphasize on the commitment of our university management to ensure that this new partnership and the synergies so created will be tapped and made fully use of for the benefit of humanity. Together, we shall strive to empower our communities in wealth creating and poverty eradication, as well as in control of environmental degradation, in job creation, and in affordable healthcare promotion, especially considering the COVID-19 pandemic related challenges that the entire world is going through. In this way, through our joint strategic partnership that shall involve thousands of partners, we shall all work hard towards the successful and timely attainment of SDG 2030, with a special reference to SDG 10 on reduced inequalities, which we are championing as a university. I invite each one of you to spare time and resources and integrate in your programs a dedication towards the commitment of reduced inequalities of all forms in our respective communities. Finally, ladies, let us all join hands and in one accord say, long live partnership between Yunus Social Business Center Network and Mount Kenya University. I'm happy to be a part of this family, and I would like to actually wish you all the best in the next 4 days deliberation. And with that, I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Deogratius Jagani, the Vice Chancellor, Mount Kenya University, for such an informative speech. Thank you again, Asante.
Thank you very much to all the speakers. Thank you, Lamia. Thank you, Hans. And of course, as Dr. Mary said, the Honorable Vice Chancellor. We'd like to, of course, have a special mention and a shout out to all those in attendance at the Mount Kenya University. They are visible in our screen at the moment. We welcome them all. We see them greeting us, and we are grateful that all of you have been joining us in this such trying times. Your inspiration and your commitment to joining the summit in these times is truly inspiring. Thank you. Thank you all. With the first segment completed, we would now like to move on to the next segment, which is a few special addresses as a part of the opening ceremony. We've got a video recorded message from Honorable Gerd Müller, who's the Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development in Germany. His Excellency Dr. Müller has had his current portfolio since 2013. Between 2005 and 2013, he was the Parliamentary State Secretary for the Federal Minister of Food, Agriculture and Consumer Protection, among his other responsibilities including international relations, development projects, and of course, World Food Affairs. His Excellency Dr. Müller is also the designated Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. His Excellency Dr. Müller's conviction towards social business encourages us all in the ecosystem. Could I please request the tech team for the audio visual?
Professor Yunus, dear friend, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great idea that you want to use this social business summit to develop a framework for a new economy. Sustainability must be the new vision for us all, especially in the fields of business, financial markets, politics, agriculture, health, and social affairs, at the regional, national, and international levels. The private sector, too, ought to serve humankind. With innovative minds like yours, we can find solutions to social and environmental problems, solutions that are successful and sustainable, both from a business and a social point of view. We are talking about quality growth that is decoupled from resource use. It is great that the 3-0 Club is showing us ways of resolving the challenges for the future of humankind. Reducing carbon emissions to zero, ending poverty, and creating employment through entrepreneurship. 10% of the world's people still live in extreme poverty. And by 2050, the world's population will reach 10 billion. We need to promote green industrialization to protect the environment and mitigate and adapt to climate change. We need to scale up renewables like wind, solar, hydropower, and hydrogen. We must give developing countries access to global knowledge and technologies. That means increasing investments and private sector engagement. We also need to ensure that developing countries have fair access to global supply chains. We need fair trade. We need to work together on standards to ensure that supply chains provide decent working conditions and are ecologically sustainable. With our German Supply Chain Act, we are providing a model for the European Union. And we also need to rethink agriculture by establishing new centers for agricultural and digital innovation to promote best practices. Let us end hunger and poverty worldwide. It was very appropriate that Professor Yunus received the Nobel Peace Prize 15 years ago. In 2006, Professor Yunus already said that fighting poverty is the best strategy for peace. The Earth has the potential to provide healthy food for 10 billion people, and we have the knowledge, technology, and tools to do the job. Ownership, access to rights, and access to finance make development possible. And that is also the vision that guides your work, Mohammed. But government funding alone won't be enough. We need you, social entrepreneurs. We need your ideas, your research, and your innovative capacity. Professor Yunus said, we achieve what we want to achieve. If we are not achieving something, it is because we have not put our minds to it. Let's engage for a livable world without hunger and poverty. I wish you good ideas and discussions. And above all, follow Mohammed's 7th principle. Do it with joy. Thank you so much.
We deeply appreciate His Excellency Dr. Muller's commitment and conviction towards social business, and of course, his support towards the work. Robert, over to you.
Thank you, Prometheus. Now, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce the second keynote, Mama Zanele Mbeki. Zanele has been fighting for the economic empowerment of women in South Africa for the past 30 years and is the founder of Women's Development Bank. Welcome, Zanele.
Greetings to all participants and especially to Professor Mohammed Yunus as the leader of all these proceedings, and to the Vice Chancellor of Mount Kenya University for hosting us today. My gratitude and congratulations goes to Professor Mohammed Yunus. Gratitude for providing me a compass of what I needed to do in South Africa upon return from exile. And congratulations for his very many innovative achievements, including the rollout of social businesses globally, the new 3-0 clubs over and above his iconic Grameen Bank. Mine is a personal statement on the impact of Grameen Bank and therefore Professor Mohammed Yunus to my work. I met Professor Mohammed Yunus in the early 1990s. And the paraphrase quote I took from him at that time was that poverty is not created by poor people. It is created by the governance systems that we have adopted, the institutions we have created, and the policies, laws, and regulations that govern our lives and excludes them. I have witnessed this institutional and legal exclusion over the past 30 years, as poor people in my country could not get into the system because there is no enabling law to facilitate their entry. The poverty rate in South Africa in 1990 was 44.8%. And in 2015, the outgoing statistician put it at 55.9%, despite huge resources poured into communities through the social wage and social grant programs. I came across the work being done by Professor Yunus with people living in extreme poverty. I reached out and visited Dakar many times, and at one time stayed in a village for a few days above to observe the back office processes and community group interactions. I lived in a ramshackle branch office. There was a single tap for ablutions in the morning. We shared a bedroom over the office, which gave us time to work even at night. I could really experience the conditions and specific needs for that sector. And therefore, before I even started my program in South Africa, I invited Professor Yunus to visit South Africa because I thought that he would educate and influence our youth and most of us, especially the government, about poverty interventions. He gave lectures to students at Wits University, Natal University, and the University of Cape Town. I asked this of him because I had wanted to set a tone of what we as South Africans needed to do in order to respond to the poverty of our people. I have stayed in this work for over 3 decades, having created a successful investment company that has sustained our developmental mission. Regrettably, I have not been part of the social business movement and look forward to becoming part of it. But talking about my investment holding company, which I registered in 1996, and which is owned 100% by the WDB Trust, where all trust funds are used for running the trust programs, and no one takes a dividend or fee except paying regular staff and executive salaries. This made me reflect on what is a social business. Before COVID, the combined net asset value of the WDB Trust and the company were above 5 billion rand, employing just over 300 people and reaching plus 200,000 families. From what I have read regarding the 7 principles of social business, WDB Trust ticks all the boxes. There are 4 other programs, that I know are structured in a similar way, with varying percentages of personal shareholding. These also put dividend money into trust programs. They have done visible and impactful social development work. It seems to me that these also are incipient social businesses that must be studied and researched by the social business academia to ascertain their fit. The academia must guide us on what needs to be done to make these companies fit social business model. For we agree that there is no going back. Time is now to germinate a new economy that does not concentrate wealth to create poverty, that respects the environment and creates decent work for the people to fend for themselves with dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama Zanele, for such inspiring words. I now invite my colleague, Prometheus, to introduce the next speaker. Over to you, Prometheus.
Thank you very much, Robert. Deeply appreciate this. For the next speaker, we've got a recorded speech from the CEO of BNP Paribas, Mr. Jean-Laurent Bonafé. BNP Paribas has been deeply committed in supporting Global Social Business Summit and social business in general. If I could request the audiovisual team to please play the video.
Thank you, Professor Yunus, for inviting me to the opening ceremony of this year's Global Social Business Summit. It's always an honor to take part in this international gathering to acknowledge the value of social businesses. Since I last participated in 2017, BNP Paribas has undergone a lot of change, encouraged by the GSBS vision, notably with the creation of the Company Engagement Department. It aims at encouraging all of our activities to have a positive impact on environmental and social issues. Attaining a world of 3 zeros is certainly one of the most ambitious goals we can set ourselves. It's also one of the most necessary. Poverty, unemployment, and climate change are pressing issues that we must address together. We cannot solely aim for carbon neutrality with disregarding social implications. The negative impacts of climate change are more severely left by poor people and poor countries. Social and environmental stakes are interdependent. We will not be able to end poverty and unemployment without strengthening the poorest to adapt to climate change. Likewise, we will not be able to take sufficient climate action without them. The 3 zeros are indivisible. The transition must therefore be sustainable and just. We must plant the seeds for tomorrow's economy to be both green and inclusive. This will require us to transform the models we have built, the habits we have taken, and the economic sectors on which our societies rely. For BNP Paribas, this means directing financial flows towards activities, technologies, and businesses contributing to a just transition. Along with 83 other banks, we have formalized the aim to align our lending and investment portfolios with net zero emissions by 2050 as part of the Net Zero Banking Alliance. Beyond exclusion policies, our role is to help companies adopt and adapt to a net zero trajectory. This involves helping sectors like energy, automotive, real estate, and agriculture transition to more sustainable business models. It's a challenge that demands a profound transformation of finance. New methodologies, tools, criteria, and financial solutions will be needed for the industrialization of environmental, social, and governance data to financing vehicles like green and social bonds. Our role is also to support those who are already paving the way for tomorrow's economy, social entrepreneurs. I believe that a company's success will be measured by the benefits it will generate for its community and society. Social businesses are role models for other companies. Hence, microfinance has been a development focus for the group for the past 32 years, and social entrepreneurship is increasingly strategic. In 2020, we mobilized more than 2 billion euros of financing and investment for 2,500 social enterprises, microfinance institutions, and social businesses. In our domestic retail networks, BNP Paribas is developing the program Act for Impact to give social entrepreneurs and social businesses access to specific banking services and advisory, financial innovations, mentoring, incubators, funds, and social innovation networks. Moreover, our partnership with the Grameen Creative Lab has taken our support to social entrepreneurship to a new level in 2019. It aims at encouraging the creation of social businesses and positive impact products, and at training positive impact managers within the bank. Thanks to this partnership, 3 social businesses have been created: Tilia, Tangata, and Climate Seed. Our relationship is also strong in the United States, where we finance Grameen America, the microfinance institution promoting women's entrepreneurship. We are hence a proud partner of the Grameen Creative Lab and strive to count as a strong ally to achieve a world of 3 zeros by aligning our portfolio to this objective and by being a financial and operational support. Let us together elevate social business against poverty, unemployment, and climate change. Thank you, Professor Yunus, for inviting me to the opening ceremony of this year's Global.
We deeply appreciate BNP Paribas' commitment to social business, and we appreciate the message from the CEO. We next have again, another video recorded message from the Honorable Ulisses Kuhi Silva, who's the Prime Minister of the Republic of Cape Verde. His Excellency Ulisses Kuhi Silva has had extensive experience in banking sector, where he's held many important positions between the late 90s and till the mid-90s as well. His strong technical managerial skills led him to perform as a head of Department of Administration at the Bank of Brazil. He's been twice elected as the president of the Praia City Council, and he's of course also been the president of the Movement of Democracy. His Excellency Ulisses Kuhi Silva is deeply committed to Professor Yunus's vision of a world of 3 zeros. Could I please request the team to play the audio visual?
Agradeço o convite do professor Yunus. Parabenizo pelo desafio 3.0 que visa alcançar a neutralidade carbónica, eliminar a pobreza e eliminar o desemprego. São compromissos geracionais, globais e nacionais, a nível da ação climática, do crescimento económico sustentável com coesão social e da massificação do empreendedorismo. Partilho convosco alguns compromissos e iniciativas do meu país, Cabo Verde, um pequeno estado insular em desenvolvimento, com elevada vulnerabilidade económica e ambiental e elevada exposição a choques externos. Cabo Verde assumiu o compromisso de atingir a neutralidade carbónica em 2050. Em 2030, pretendemos ter mais de 50% de penetração de energias renováveis, substituindo as fontes de energia poluentes por sistemas energéticos limpos. Temos sol, vento e mar em abundância, e um quadro legal, regulatório e de incentivos fiscais e financeiros favorável ao investimento verde. O nível de penetração atual é de 20%. O nosso foco não é só na produção e distribuição, mas também na eficiência e no uso da digitalização para melhorar a eficiência na energia e na água. Somos um país que sofre as influências do Sahel e está exposto a fenómenos meteorológicos extremos, como secas severas. Esta condição natural afeta a agricultura e a vida rural. Para viabilizar a agricultura, estamos a investir forte na dessalinização da água salobra e do mar, reutilização segura de águas residuais tratadas, massificação da rega gota a gota associadas às energias renováveis. Cabo Verde foi o primeiro país africano a aderir à Aliança para a Descarbonização dos Transportes. A nossa meta até 2030 é ter pelo menos 25% da frota de transportes terrestres com carros elétricos. Até 2050, pretendemos atingir 100% de carros elétricos. A forte aposta nas energias renováveis, na mobilidade elétrica e no nexo água e energias renováveis, para além de contribuir para a descarbonização da nossa economia, está concebida para tornar o país mais resiliente e menos vulnerável a choques externos. É um investimento também na criação de oportunidades de qualificações profissionais, no emprego e no empreendedorismo. Este é, no entanto, um esforço que exige compromisso internacional. É um esforço de um pequeno estado insular que tem uma contribuição insignificante na carbonização da economia, mas que sofre fortemente os efeitos das alterações climáticas. Vários países em desenvolvimento, e particularmente os CITES, estão comprometidos com a neutralidade carbónica. Para os seus programas terem sucesso e para o mundo poder beneficiar dos seus esforços, é preciso resolver o que tem que ser resolvido: o financiamento global para a ação climática. Muito obrigado.
We appreciate the message from His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Cape Verde. Robert, over to you.
Thank you, Prometheus. Our next speaker is Dr. Kamal Yani, Senior Health Policy Advisor to the People Vaccine Alliance, and also Global Health and Access to Medicines Consultant. She is also a key advisor to NGO representatives at the Unitide Board. Welcome, Dr. Moga.
Thank you. Good day to all of you. And thank you very much for inviting me to speak in your important meeting, Planting the Seeds Towards New Economy. Time is now. It's really an honor to participate in this meeting. I would like to share with you some learning from the work on health and access to medical technologies especially in relation to Ebola and COVID-19. I hope these points would contribute to the meeting's conversations. So as we all know, and mentioned earlier by Lami and others, that while the majority of the population in rich countries have been fully vaccinated, only 4% in low-income countries are vaccinated. This means that over 95% of population in poor countries are not protected. The reason is simple. Rich country governments, and in reality, all governments, left three vital decisions on medical technologies like vaccines in the hands of pharmaceutical companies. These are how many doses to produce, where to sell them, and at what price. Companies naturally seek the highest possible profit, so they sell at the highest possible price to the highest bidder. Clearly, poor countries cannot compete, hence the current shameful figures. And despite the world leaders saying things like, nobody's safe until everybody is safe, nationalism prevailed. For example, early in the pandemic, before we had any vaccine, in April 2020, the president of the European Commission said, we need to develop a vaccine. We need to produce it and deploy it to every single corner of the world and make it available at affordable price. This vaccine will be our universal common good. Of course, once we had vaccines, this words kind of changed. One important fact that we must remember is that taxpayers in many rich countries actually paid millions of dollars in funding research and development and manufacturing these vaccines. But rich countries' governments paid millions in advance purchasing to secure millions of doses in for their people. In fact, this is not unique to vaccines. At the beginning of the pandemic, perhaps you remember that those who had cash, they emptied the global market of personal protective equipment necessary for health workers and of tests. So that means that our countries were left trying to get whatever possible they can get. Of course, this is not an inevitable situation. If all countries really treated the pandemic as it is, a pandemic affecting us all, and put public health above commercial interest, the situation would have been very different. Early in the pandemic, Costa Rica with 40 other countries called for a global action, and the WHO at that time, at that call, set up something called COVID-19 Technology Access Pool, so that research institutions and companies share knowledge, know-how, technology, intellectual property with the pool, which in turn sub-license production to all capable companies, especially in the South. And there are such companies in several countries. But a year and a half since, and not one single company shared the vaccine know-how or intellectual property, and rich countries ignore it. In reality, developing countries must really push hard to get the pool working. And recently, WHO set up an mRNA technology hub in South Africa, and we all need to try hard and work really hard to push companies to share the know-how with that hub, so that scientists and engineers from our countries are able to make this vaccine and make other vaccines. Let's go back a few years to 2014, at the height of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. The world at that time suddenly discovered that, oh, we have nothing to prevent or treat this deadly disease. But again, it's not inevitable that developing countries stay at the end of the medical technology queue, or accept that, well, there's no technologies and there's no vaccines or medicines for these diseases. The good news is that Africa recognized the current situation and the problems with the current situation and started to remedy it. The African Union has a plan to change the situation where now 99% of continental vaccines beyond COVID are imported. And the plan is to be able to make 60% of those needs on the continent by 2040. So to ensure that vaccine inequality does not happen again, and that we as people in developing countries contribute to the scientific and technological progress to address diseases, especially those in our regions, those and also those who can potentially become pandemics, all governments must prioritize 5 things. So the first is diversifying manufacturing to several hubs in developing countries. But in order to do that, to actually build the capacity to manufacture, we need to invest in national biomedical research and development. In order to do that, that means that governments need to prioritize investing into education, especially tertiary education, to prepare the scientists, the engineers, and all other cadres necessary for technologies. Fourthly, government must realize that it is important, governments rich and poor, to invest in biomedical research, which is long-term investment. And fifth, invest in building resilient health systems, i.e. investing in the qualified cadres in all aspects, not just doctors and nursing. Planning for post-COVID has started in many fora, including yours. This is not a one-off session, one-off action. It should be for long-term and persistent and long time. National budgetary allocation must prioritize these sectors with adequate funding that matches the health needs of the population and the advancement of technology. So basically, building better economy is about building the human capital that will develop our countries, that's our people and our economy, and contribute to making our planet a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moga. I'll now call on Prometheus to take it over. Prometheus, if you can hear me.
Yes, please. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate this. Now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. The person who has inspired all of us to be here. The affection, admiration, and replication of his work has transcended race, cultures, and national boundaries. From heads of state to CEO of large global businesses, from social change makers to artists. The simplicity yet profound impact of his philosophy has helped rewrite modern history of how humans can make this world a better place. On a personal note, when we were teenagers, when we were meant to be idolizing movie stars, rock stars, and sports stars, his work, which was enabling millions around the world to live themselves out of poverty, meant he was the one true superstar. Deemed as one of the greatest minds of many generations to harness the power of business for solving social problems, I have the utmost privilege of introducing Nobel Peace Laureate, founder of Grameen Bank and chairman of Yunus Center, Professor Mohammed Yunus. Before I call him to speak, could I please request the tech team to play the audio visual? Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're just going through a momentary technical transition. Please bear with us. That's fine. What we'll do is we will revisit the video in just a bit. But for now, it is again my great honor to request Professor Mohammed Yunus to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir. So you are on mute if that's so you might need to just unmute yourself.
Thank you, Prometheus.
Thank
I didn't know that you turned into a poet. You're now starting writing poetry. So anyway, we'll always get along with poets, no problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And before I begin, I wanted to thank my friend Zanele for being here today. And your words kind of made me emotional. You reminded me of the time that you came so many times to Bangladesh just to understand what Grameen Bank is all about. And you described it yourself, how you spend the night in the village in our Chevy branch, sleeping on the branch manager's bed, only bed available in the whole bank branch, and going through all the difficulties, just to understand how it works. So it's a hard way. Not only you came once, you came several times, repeatedly, to get to deeper and deeper understanding of Grameen Bank. And I particularly remember one formal dinner the finance minister organized for you. He hosted a big dinner for you. You are the first lady at that time. And then after the dinner, finance minister was speaking about Grameen Bank. He said, Grameen Bank doesn't really help the poor people. I know about all this. And when you started talking about it, you just stood up. You said, well, I don't want to hear about Grameen Bank from you. I have heard enough of Grameen Bank from Grameen Bank itself. So I'm not here ready to listen to your lectures. So you just walked away while we were still at the dinner table. So we were all shocked by the way you expressed yourself in the face of the comments that the finance minister was trying to make. So I remember all those days and the days that you invited me to come to South Africa and visit all those places and so on. So again, good to see you again. And I met you many times in between, of course. Good to see you again. You have not given up. You're still that stubborn lady that you are. You continue to do that. What we are doing here is something will draw your attention. I hope it does. Now coming back to our opening ceremony for the GSBS. GSBS is a gathering of our friends. This is what we have been doing for the last 12 years. We get together, kind of check with each other what's going on, what's up in the world. And we want to understand this needs to be done. And we kind of get inspired. We tell that we are recharging our batteries to looking at each other and going through that. So we are doing the same thing at the Global Summit, Social Business Summit today. Now we'll be having all the friends. Those who are first time, you will become our new friends. No matter where you are, where you come from, whether you come back to GSBS next time, doesn't matter. But you are already part of our friends network. So you're most welcome to continue in touch with us. Now on the issue of this particular GSBS, I would like to go back to some comment that I made that this is about pandemic. I said pandemic has given us a tremendous opportunity which is a historical opportunity. It may not repeat itself another time. The opportunity to redesign everything that we got. And this opportunity we must use as quickly as possible. When people were asking me, where do you find all this money to invest to make all those changes? All those changes will be needing lots and lots of money. I said, well, money is not a problem because already every government is mobilizing all kinds of funds called stimulus fund. Some governments have billions of dollars already accumulated to push the economy back to pre-pandemic situation, growing away in that direction. And some governments have trillions of dollars mobilized. I said, all I'm telling the governments, don't use a penny of this money to go back because our decision is no going back. This is the best thing we can do at this opportunity that pandemic gave us. So all this money that you don't spend on the going back, you spend money going up front, different way. So money is not a problem. It's a change of mind is the problem. Everywhere I see is the mind which is creating all the problem for us. And the vaccine, all the things that we have been talking about, it's an amazing thing that we have the knowledge to protect every single human being on this planet. It's known, but we cannot. We are not willing to share this knowledge so that this knowledge can be spread everywhere to produce vaccines all around the world because somebody wants to make big money. So it's a profit which stops everything that we want to do. Today, all the things that we will be talking about is a profit. Wall of profit stops everything that we want to make. And we know how to save the planet from total destruction. All the living being on this planet will be a total extinction, facing total extinction. Why? Because we don't want to change our habit of making money. So the addiction of profit maximization, that is at the core of everything that we are doing. So I come back again and again that we have to address that issue once for all. This is the opportunity that we got. And I invite everybody. I said, it sounds a little crazy, but that's the only option we have now. We have to build a new civilization, nothing less than creating a new civilization. This old civilization is on the way out. That's all the sound and the noise that you hear about global warming and all the speeches and all the promises that you see is all about the creaking civilization, which is falling apart. You cannot maintain that civilization any longer. It's just on its own weight, it will be collapsing. And in the process, it will destroy us, the human being on this planet. That's the dangerous part of it. We don't want to make that happen. So how to transit from the old civilization to a new civilization? That is the issue. When we chose the subject for this GSBS, this global summit, we chose planting new seeds for new economy, towards new economy. And time is now. This is the most opportune moment we'll ever have in the history. So that's the point I want to emphasize again and again. Let us not miss this opportunity, because it will not come back again. Not only in our lifetime, in many generations' lifetime. This opportunity is right now. We have to catch this opportunity, make use of it 100%, not 99%. We have to make use of it 100%. So once we do that, transition becomes easy. Transition is not a difficult process, but we have to make up our mind, no going back. We will be planting seeds right now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow will be too late. So that's what the planting of seeds is all about. How do we transit? What is the new civilization that we are talking about? New civilization is a simple one. Basic thing is very simple. This civilization is based on greed, on profit maximization, addiction to money. That is the basis of this civilization. No matter how you want to try to analyze, this is what you ultimately find out. Addiction to that money. So moving from addicted condition, addiction to money, we have to move into a new civilization, which will be based on zero profit. That's what we are talking about. When you talk about social business, it is zero profit, zero personal profit business. We create business to solve people's problems. You say, how can you do that? It's impossible. You need incentive to make that happen. I said, the great incentive is waiting for us. Making money may be happiness, but making other people happy is a super happiness. So we are moving from questionable happiness about money to a super happiness of sharing and enjoying life together. That's the kind of civilization we're going to do. And it's doable. People say this is kind of some strange thinking that crosses people's mind, but it doesn't become a reality. It is a reality. All we have to do is get involved with it. So this is the Social Business Summit that we are talking about. This will be discussing that. And many important things happen in the meantime, that the elements of it, while we don't want to miss this opportunity of transition, of changeover, and how to make it happen. The important thing happened, a tectonic shift in the opinion of the people. People didn't understand this global warming and so on. It took a lot of time. Today, people understand it very clearly. When I say people, not only people on the street understand it, it's people at each level, in the government, in the businesses, in this university. They're all feeling empty inside, but they don't show up because they don't know what to say. They don't have an alternative. So the more and more you can bring it, idea of social business, idea of entrepreneurship, all the things that we are promoting, people will love to grab that, love to see that, love to undertake that. So this is this decade from 2021 to 2031 will be the most crucial, most strategic decade ever have in human history, because it will go to a huge shift in the life of the entire world. So how do we make our contribution in that shifting? What is our contribution will be? That's the chance that we have to discuss. How do we do that? No matter what is your present situation, how people look at us, but this decade, in the decade, particularly first 5 years of this decade, will be most critical 5 years in the human history that you'll ever see. So lots of things will happen because we have to go through this transition. So coming back to concrete things that we are doing right now, One is important. I want to draw attention to all the delegates, all the members who are being present here or participating, is that Olympic laurel is significant, is a symbolic thing, but very significant. Entire world's sports now endorsed us, the social business. And I had the opportunity to stand there at the Olympic opening ceremony and raise my 3 fingers. I said, we want to build the world of 3 zeros. And I elaborated what these 3 zeros are all about. And world listened to it. It's not 1 billion people listening to me. It's 1.5 billion people listening to me, addressing this crowd. So that opens up a completely new door for us, a new world for us, the sports world. So I'm inviting all the participants here to see what can be done to use this power. There are many ways we can do that, but you bring out your suggestions, how to make this world, make it happen. Use that power. It's a limitless power the sports world has, but how do we use that? That emotional power that it generates, that social power it generates across the board, from the poorest person to the richest person. Nobody can get away from this emotions of the sports. And that emotions we want to use to transform the world. And they are ready to do that. So this is one part of it. And other one significant, I say about 3-0 clubs. This is a very important initiative. And I hope you go through this and understand and encourage your friends, your relatives, your own children to join the 3-0 club. It sounds like a plaything, but it's very important. It's a transformation of the mind of the young people, looking for the solution, to understand what these 3 zeros are. These 3 zeros are the one which is destroying the world, undoing the world. The elements which are destroying the world, we want to undo that world and bring it to 0. And then 0 and all the zeros you remember. So I don't want to repeat it. So all those 3 to be established. And the key to achieving these 3 zeros is one big 0. 0 maximum profit. 0 profit. 0 profit is the key. Once you get to the 0 profit, you'll easily get to all the other 3 zeros. It's no problem at all. So this is the connectivity that you have to establish, how to make that happen. One thing that will be during the summit, we will be discussing, we're presenting these 3-0 clubs. You are welcome to participate and say. And it's in the website. You can always look at what's happening to the 3-0 clubs and so on. One little information which is significant for me, and I'm sure it's all for you too. There's an island in Japan called Okinawa. Okinawa is always a headache for Japan. It is the poorest prefecture in Japan. And it's a 59th, they're out of 59 prefectures in Japan. Okinawa is the 59th in order of its economic situation, its social conditions, and so on. Japanese government tried many different ways to help them to improve. They didn't proceed very far. So one very important organization, company called Yoshimoto. Yoshimoto is a very famous company, big nationwide company, which is a company of comedians. They supply comedians to the television, supply comedians to whatever entertainment is needed. Thousands of comedians are associated. It's a kind of association of the comedians and so on. Yoshimoto has already created a social business. It's called Yunus Yoshimoto Social Action Company. They want to bring social businesses wherever the comedians work. And I said, when comedians start explaining what social business is, they will know how exactly to translate it to in the minds of the people. They will remember what it's all about. And that's what they're doing now. They decided to adopt Okinawa, to transform Okinawa into Okinawa Social Business Island. They already made a big announcement. They had a press conference, and all the media covered that, and televisions, print media, and everybody did that. So they want to make that happen. So this is another initiative. It is, we are remote from that, but this is a purely Japanese initiative with the Japanese company and trying to adopt this Okinawa. This would be an example if we can, if they can make it. And also the important thing, the money that is coming for this Okinawa social island, social business island, is coming from again a social business initiative in Japan. Japan has created a dormant fund. Billions of yen is left in the banks, unclaimed money within the banks. Every country has that. I'm sure whichever country you check, there's a huge amount of money, unclaimed money, nobody's claiming it, but banks enjoy it. What Japan has done, created a dormant fund, took it out from the bank, put it in a fund to do various things. One of the part of this thing is social business, investing in social business. So they are using this social business investment fund. Ishimoto is taking this out and creating a social business fund in Okinawa to do that. So this is an interesting example, and it's an ongoing thing. And I thought I'll share with you to make it happen. Then what I just want to mention, that this is an opportunity that the world will remember what we have done when our opportunity was here. So let us not miss it. So let's have a great global social business summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you as always for your extremely inspiring words. Thank you for leading us to a direction of a world of 3 zeros. I think our tech team is ready with a video, which is a bit of a tribute to you, sir, and of course sets the tone of what we have to live up to going forward. If I could please request the tech team to play the video if it's ready.
If you think creating a world without poverty is impossible, let's do it. If you think zero unemployment is impossible, let's do it. If you think zero net carbon emission is impossible, let's do it. Because all impossibles will be possible.
What an incredible legacy to live up to. Thank you, with this, we come to the end of the proceedings of the opening ceremony. On a personal note, I feel extremely inspired by what has been said by all the speakers. The welcome addresses, the keynotes, and of course, the direction that Professor Yunus has set for us. The example that he set for Okinawa to become the world's first social business island. I think this inspires and helps us set the goal of what we want to achieve in the next 5 days. We have a world of 3 zeros to achieve, but each of us will have our individual goals, and each of us will have our individuals part to play in it. And I think it's been aptly outlined by all the speakers. I would once again like to thank Ms. Lamia Morshed, Mr. Hans Reitz, Professor Zhang Yangi, the Vice Chancellor of Mount Kenya University, the recorded speech from His Excellency Gerd Müller from Germany, His Excellency the Prime Minister of Cape Verde, Madam Zanele Mbeki, and of course the recorded speech from Jean-Laurent Bonnat, the CEO of BNP Paribas, and of course Dr. Moha Kamal Yani. You've all inspired us. You've all led us to the exact direction we want to be in the next 5 days, but this is only the beginning. Tomorrow, we kick off day 2, and man, are we in for an exciting day. We have we have 7 key plenary sessions to go through, and of course, very exciting 4 workshops. We will be covering through 3-0 Club, which is the youth power for reaching new destinations. We'll have an exciting discussion about what's going to happen next after Professor Yunus's Olympic laurel. How will social business and sports combine and be the new change for power? We'll also have a lot of exciting updates from actual social businesses and actual entrepreneurs on the ground across the world coming back and telling us how their businesses are performing. We've got the social business in academia and practice, the perspective from Africa and how the movement is scaling up there. And then of course, we've got scaling up purpose-driven models in nutrition, health, and the challenges we have there. And of course, major social businesses which are being run all across the world. What are their updates? What is the new thing that they've done? Then we'll have 2 panel sessions as well on the main plenary, one of which being the enterprise support landscape studies, plugging holes in the social business support sieve, and of course, how social entrepreneurs can transform companies into a force for good. In the workshop section, we've got the Kofi Annan Award for Innovation in Africa. How can we make fashion sustainable with systems thinking? How can we explore the business model canvas and include the social business design as a tool? And of course, leadership skills for social business entrepreneurs. I can assure you there is something for everyone in day 2 and of course, the rest of the days. We thank you all for joining us. We thank all the speakers. We thank Yunus Center, GCL, and of course, Mount Kenya University. Thank you for being a great audience, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And of course, my sincerest gratitude to my fellow MCs, Robert, Dr. Mary, and of course, Lamia. We bid you farewell till next time, and tomorrow we'll see you back for day 2 at East Africa time, 5:45, and of course GMT 12:45. Thank you, everyone.
Let's wait to our Mount Kenya people there. They're in the physical one. That's hello there. Hi, everybody. Hello. Oh, you did wonderful. That's
very inspiring.
Yep, very inspiring. Thank you so much for doing that. And we'll be together for the next few days. Wonderful. Bye-bye. Good night from our side.
Thank you, everyone.
See you back tomorrow. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye, Zanele.